Hello and welcome to the coronavirus update for the 7th to 8th of September 2021, where we're a year and a half into this. And, this was the first wave when it looked really serious and everyone was taking it seriously. And then it sort of spread throughout the rest of the world. And this was the winter wave. And, if you take a look at it, it's really not going down that much. We've had 4.5 million deaths worldwide so far. If you're going to take an estimate from this, we're looking at minimalistically probably 6 million dead total by the time we get over all this. Probably maybe going up to 10. It's very clear at this point that this isn't going to just be you defeat Delta and it's over. This is going to be variants on variants on variants. This is going to morph from a pandemic to something that's endemic. And it'll hopefully get down to manageable levels at some point. A lot of the donkey work in making the vaccines being done. And so once the way that viruses evolve is they mutate different spike proteins, that sort of thing. And seeing as you already have a vaccine that's fairly effective for the current spike protein, you only have to modify it slightly to make it effective for slightly different spike proteins, which is kind of like the flu jab. But that, of course, assuming that this doesn't throw a complete spanner into the works and we get a new variant which basically bypasses all of the vaccines and puts us all back to square one, which is not beyond the bounds of possibility. Anyway, so if we take a look at America, it looks terrible. America, not only are cases spiking, deaths are spiking too. America is almost as bad as it's ever been. If you take a look at the entirety of the virus, the entirety of the pandemic, there's only been 20% of the time when it's been worse in America than it is at the moment. And this is a little weird. America is actually relatively highly vaccinated, so the only sort of sensible explanation for this is that there are great portions of the elderly community who are kind of in denial about the effectiveness of vaccines. Take a look at the rest of the world. India has come down, it's doing okay. Iran is going crazy. I mean, if you're taking a look at Iran, it's at peak deaths at the moment, maybe slightly down from. The UK looks like a standard European country, and they're all kind of much less like this. There's been a big spike in cases, but not a big spike in deaths, which is, if you get your old and your vulnerable vaccinated, you can get lots of cases amongst the young, but not many of the old people die. Brazil looks like it's slowly in decline, which is good. All of the places like Malaysia, they look absolutely horrific. All the places in this neck of the woods are a disaster. But we'll come to some more of those. Turkey looks bad. Not quite sure what's going on in Turkey. Russia is peak deaths at the moment. France is, again, typical European country. Big spike in cases, not such a big spike in deaths. And then you get into places like Japan, which is as bad as it's ever been in cases. Deaths, not quite so much. And we're weekly deaths here. So it's 100 deaths per day, 50 deaths per day, that sort of thing. For a country of 150 million, it's actually relatively low. Thailand, these look like an absolute nightmare. All of these, Thai, Indonesia, actually they're coming down. Philippines, they were bad for a bit, and still not so good. And Vietnam is a nightmare. It's just like, yeah. Anyway, so that's a quick rundown of what's happening in the wide world with the coronavirus. And you might remember that in the last update, we visited this guy, Caleb Wallace, I think he is, and he's a end COVID tyranny type guy. And this is one of the most ironic videos ever, to just watch a guy argue for 15 minutes straight against, it's like a guy arguing against wearing seatbelts and then dying in a car crash because he didn't wear a seatbelt. Yeah, so he's this, I think, is part of the reason why the world's got as bad as it has, and it's even worse when you see that it was all forecast exactly in the film Contagion over a decade ago, right down to all the conspiracy nuts. This is the sort of chief conspiracy nut. I've not actually seen the film, but as far as I can gather, this is the chief conspiracy nut who, of course, doesn't believe in his own remedy. So he's all completely wrapped up in stuff that the CDC would recommend that people use. And meanwhile, he's promoting that the CDC is lying to people and you should just use a herbal cure. Not dissimilar to those that a load of right-wing hosts were promoting until recently. And there's been a great spate of them, actually. There's like 3 or 4 of them, four conservative, 4 died in the last month. Now, I mean, for me, it's kind of sad that, it's like turkeys voting for Christmas. And it's, the guy left behind a family, which is very sad. But, fundamentally, he was advocating for something that killed other people. And yeah, it didn't age well. But even more bizarre, right? And this is something I really don't get, is if you just have some random person who unfortunately gets COVID and dies, then, the usual response is, well, kind of sucks to be you, apart from the anti-masker here who was advocating, against the COVID tyranny, had a fundraiser when he was in hospital until he died, which raised, $70,000. And it's a strange world where, the vaccine denier actually gets given tens of thousands of dollars, having actually died of coronavirus, whereas, all the people who weren't the anti-mask advocates, well, they just kind of die. But anyway, yeah, so me, of course, I'm double jabbed, have been for some considerable time, and I want it to all end as well. I long for the days when you just move around freely, but I'm not so sure they're coming back anytime soon. Anyway, so that's the coronavirus update for today. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it ends soon. So take care and see you next time.